the goal. Be as young as you can look. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying go get plastic surgery. But what I am saying, and it's not about that. It's just about health and fitness. It's the whole Megillah, okay? But what I'm saying is, as Christians, I kind of think that we have a better reason. Like, don't you think that, like, we have a purpose on this world. We have a purpose. We have something to actually go and do. We are to manifest God in all of his glory in our bodies every day. Our bodies represent the glory of God. Don't you think if anybody has a right to worry about our health and staying in shape and to eat right and to present ourselves right, that it would be Christians? Come on, people. Get with it. Sorry, not that you're not. Okay, so anyway. So it's our responsibility. We've got to know, like, okay, what makes my body work? What makes me tired? Why am I hungry? What should I eat? What should I not eat? It's our responsibility of Christians to know these things, but we let the world feed us all of these diet fads and all of these diet crazes out there. Well, I got to do the Atkins diet. Right now, I think it's the paleo diet or something like that, or I don't know. I mean, there's so many out there, like the zone diet, the HCG diet. I mean, we've got all these diets, and it's like we are so confused. We don't even know what to do. Like, it's not for lack of there not being knowledge out there. It's because we're so darn confused with everything. And so it's just, we're hopping from one thing to the next. There's no rhythm. There's no consistency. We're just moving from one thing to the next, from one thing to the next. What's the next thing? It's like the latest trend. It's like, it's not a clothing trend, people. It's okay. Oh, it is okay to go back to Genesis and wear and use that diet. It is not like, okay, I'm not going to be wearing clothing that I wore in the 80s. I get that. But when it comes to diet trends, it's okay to go back about 3,000 years. Okay, and I'm going to prove that to you. I just want to go over like our Sabbath stealers first before we get there. The number one Sabbath stealer would be our poor nutrition. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and talk about that here. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and do that now. Okay. And this is something I need everybody to know, that you do not have to be overweight to suffer from the effects of poor nutrition. Okay, I think that's like a misnomer out there. I think people think, like, if you're not overweight, you're fine. But I just need you to know, like, a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association said that nearly 1 in 4 skinny people have pre-diabetes and are metabolically obese, okay? And what that means is you're like, well, I don't understand, what does that mean? What it means is that your body has too much fat and too little muscle, okay? Are we getting that? Okay, but the reason why our body has too much fat and too little muscle is because of the way we eat, of course, and our lack of exercise, but it's sugar. If you take all those diets that I was just referring to, if you take them, you line them up against each other, they all have the same common denominator, all of them. They tell you don't eat sugar, don't eat flour, and don't eat refined carbohydrates, okay? Refined carbohydrates are anything that has been processed, that has been taken from the natural state and been processed and taken from, so it's made so it can last on the shelf longer, like white bread, white pastas, rice, bagels, things. Trying to think of other refined, anything processed, of course, in boxes, but things that we might not suspect. A lot of our white foods. Okay, so what happens is, and I'm going to try to explain this in the easiest way possible, because I'm like, I just think this is so important if we get this. Okay, this is how I'm going to tell you how our body works, okay? Because God designed our bodies to work a certain way, and he designed our bodies to work efficiently, okay? He did not design our bodies to yo-yo diet, okay? So here is what it is. Our body wants to burn fat. God created our body to burn fat. He did not create our body to burn sugar. But what happens is, because we eat too many sugars, because the first thing your body wants to burn is sugar, okay? So what happens is, instead, we store the fat because we're eating too much sugar. So instead of burning that fat that we should be burning, we're burning the sugars that we've put in our body. Okay, so, and what does that look like? Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say we put a bunch of a gas in our gasoline tank, okay? So I take my gas and I put it in the tank, I get it in the car, and I'm like, it starts to sputter. I'm like, what's going on? I just filled it up with gas. It should be going. So, but what happens is that, what happened to that car if the fuel line can't access the gas tank? if it can't get to the gas, the same thing is happening when our metabolic engines start up, okay? We sputter, so we kind of just use the fumes left over from the last meal, the sugar, because we've never gotten to the gas or the fat. We're using that sugar, okay? And then we're like reaching for that Snickers bar or we're reaching for that bagel. And we're hungry again. And so we just grab the next thing, okay? And so our bodies have been designed, I'll say this again, to primarily burn fat. And I have to say, if that were not the case, our fat cells would be sugar cubes and not fat cells, okay? Just saying. Okay. Now, we do need sugar. That's why we do have an innate, like, the only fuel. I hope I'm not getting too complicated on you guys. Am I? Okay, I'm so sorry. I feel like this is so, like, okay. Okay, we need sugar. But here's the thing is, it's the only fuel our brain cells can metabolize. So that's why we want it. I mean, we do want it for a reason. It's not just for lack of willpower. It's not for lack of discipline. And so, I mean, don't beat yourself up at the fact that you're craving sugar. But what's happening is we're getting those refined sugars that it's like cocaine. It's like a drug. It just gets into your system, burns it up, and then you're on to the next fix. Whereas if we ate the sugars in the way that God intended us to eat from the very beginning of time, fruits, veggies, whole beans, grains, okay? Those, and I kind of like it because it kind of goes with what we're talking about. They have a rhythm. Once they go into our bodies, they're just steady. They have a nice, steady pace. They release when they need to release. And they just kind of hang out there. They don't just immediately turn to sugar. They give us energy. They keep us sustained. The first 3 days, if you do this, are really hard because you're going to go through a sugar withdrawal. They're awful. But once you start putting these fruits and vegetables into your diets and beans, I'm telling you, it will satiate you. You will, it'll rock your world. I did it during the fast, and I absolutely loved it. So, okay. So anyway, we think that, this whole food thing is so complicated, but I really don't think it is. We're told what to eat, what not to eat. We're listening to these people as though they're the authority on food. It's like I'm sorry, I'm sure Dr. Atkins actually did. I mean, his philosophy is actually sound, but when it comes to like what we've done to it, and like the fat, because we burn fat, so that's the whole concept. I'm sorry, but he's not the authority. Whoever wrote the Zone Diet is not the authority on diet. We're letting these people be the authority over our lives and telling us what God has already told us. My goodness. And so in Genesis 1:12, when God said, let there be, sprout vegetation, it said in 1:12, it said the earth brought forth vegetation, plants, yielding seed after their kind, and trees yielding fruit with seeds in them after their kind. And God saw that it was good. It was good. Okay, remember that. Genesis 1:29, he's speaking to Adam. I guess he's giving Adam the rundown. Okay, here, rule over these guys over here, And then he says, okay, now I've given you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. Okay? So when God said, we're going to go back to when he said, and it was good, God wasn't saying it was good because it was just good. He was saying it was good because it was going to be beneficial. It was for our benefit. It was good because it was going to be good for us. Okay? I'm telling you, this thing is really easy. I love what Miss Nancy said last week. She talked about how simple it is. It really, really is. It really is. Why do we make things so difficult? Anyway, okay, so let's see here. Where am I? All right. Oh, hello. Okay, so when God said it was good, every time he's creating something that's going to give benefit to our body and bring him glory. Okay, so why have we grabbed this concept of, in the diet world, like picture a pie on a chart. We've got like this little sliver of the pie when we're on a diet. That's all we look at. I can't have 90% of what's on the pie. I can only have this 10% over here. Okay, I'm going to go back to Genesis 1:29. I have given you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. Every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, every seed-bearing plant. is ours to eat. Every fruit with seed is ours to eat. These diets that tell us not to eat this stuff, that is not biblical. I am sorry. That is wrong. That is wrong. It's not biblical. Okay, I'm sorry. I get really upset about this stuff. I'm like, okay, and if I yell at anybody, it's the trainer coming out in me. I'm not really yelling at you. It's the trainer in me, okay? I'm very passionate about this, as you can tell. Okay, anyway, so there's so much out there. During the fast, I was like, I discovered beets. I was like, I've never had a beet before in my life. I'm like, how many of you guys have had beets? Okay, about half of you, maybe 25% of you. Seriously, like, I mean, God, there's so much food out there. So when I discovered the beet, I'm like, well, what else did God make for me that I don't know about? Like, there's so much stuff out there that we don't even know about because we're just falling and being seduced by this middle section of our grocery stores. Okay, so I already kind of talked about the lack of exercise, a little bit, kind of, sort of, okay. But that's the next one. Okay, simply stated, I'm going to try to make this easy for you. Exercise is good for you. I think Jesus might have said, and it is good. I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. Bible according to Margie. Okay. But, okay, in the same instance, the opposite is also true. Not exercising is bad for you. Okay? We know that it's good for us, but we don't do it. But I sometimes think we don't think about the other end of the spectrum, like, well, it's really bad for me, okay? One study, okay, exercise adds years to your life. Okay, one study found that an average 65-year-old can expect to live an additional 12.7 years of a healthy life, meaning he or she will live disability-free until age 77. Highly active 65-year-olds have an additional 5.7 years of healthy life expectancy, so they will remain disability-free until the age of 83.4. Okay, exercise helps maintain and build muscle. We need muscle. Muscle health prevents osteoporosis and heart disease. Okay, so let's go back to the little fat muscle thing, okay? The whole fact that we're burning, that we have too much fat and not enough muscle because of all the sugars we're eating. Well, so then you get these women that when we want to go on a diet, and we go on a diet with our spouse. We're going to do this together. I love you, honey. I'm going to cook all your food for you, and you're going to be so healthy, and I'm just going to better our whole family. And then a week later, he's lost 10 pounds. You lost 1. You were so mad. I am never cooking another meal for you again. You can look at the treadmill and lose weight. It's not fair. It is not fair. But let me just say to you, the reason why men burn more calories is because muscle's important, muscle burns fat. Okay, muscle actually burns fat. So that's why don't be frustrated with our men. God made them that way. God made them that way. They are supposed to burn more fat than we are. So, but what we struggle with is the fact that we have too much fat, too little muscle, and that muscle is what burns the fat. So we've got to build that muscle. If you take calorie for calorie, if you take a pound of fat and you line it up against a pound of muscle, my cardiovascular output to maintain that pound of fat takes 28 calories a day to maintain. Now, that same 1 pound of muscle, my cardiovascular outtake is 156 calories a day. Okay, do you realize that if we take 5 pounds of our fat, flip it into muscle, turn that into muscle, we will burn an additional 780 calories a day. I'm sorry, but that is more than the HCG diet lets you eat. Really? Come on, we can eat, people. Come on. It's not about restricting calories. It's about burning them, right? Okay.